And welcome to the Alouettes Flightdeck, podcast dedicated to Montreal Alouettes football, presented by our good friends over at Royal Retros. Or Cliff, you don't need a time machine in order to get that sweet, sweet retro merch. If you head over to royalretros.com, use the promo code FlightDeck at checkout, you will save 10% off your entire order. That includes everything from former Canadian football teams to Team Canada. And we're talking not only hockey, but also football. And we're also talking many other things. So head over to our friends over at Royal Retros because it's great to partner with them. And welcome them again to be our presenting sponsor. I'm Tim Capper. You can find me on X at Repact. That's REPPACT.
And I'm Cliffy D. You can also find me on X over at Cliffy D. And yes, definitely very excited once again to be talking football in the off season. Montreal Alouettes football at that. Man. Always puts a smile on my face.
It can be tough. And you and I have talked about this too, because most people don't know what goes on in the behind the scenes as we're trying to set these different shows up and stuff like that during the off season. We're lucky enough to have the extra week usually in this period of time where we're only about 2 weeks leading up to the draft and stuff like that. It can be actually tough, especially when there's not that much news going around the CFL, whether it be team wise or league wide. But it's always fun to be able to reach out and to be able to speak with players and free agents and stuff like that when it comes to who haven't been on the show before, and introduce them or reintroduce them to the fans that they've been playing before. But before we get to the interview this week, it was a fantastic interview. We'll tell you who it is in a moment. But we want to talk about some couple of things that have gone over through the transaction wire, right, Cliff? Because some very interesting things did pop. Especially, it's funny. We've joked for years. I think luckily us being on a Wednesday, or be it this week a Thursday, we're lucky enough to tape the day that major things usually get announced by the team. And that just happened to be the case this week also. But let's go over some of this transaction wire news from the Alouettes that we've heard since our last show.
Absolutely. And yes, it's always been, I guess that's the curse of the podcaster, right? Is you put out a show and then the next day major news happens and you're just like, all of a sudden your show becomes obsolete and you're like, oh my gosh, why couldn't you have done this before? Why couldn't you have told us this before? Something, anything. But sometimes you just got to roll with it, and it is what it is. But yes, a couple of major moves in a lot of respects since our last show, almost 2 weeks ago. The Montreal Alouettes decided to bring back Dylan Wynn from on the defensive line. This is a move that I'm cautiously optimistic about, simply because when he was brought into free agency last year, I was pretty excited because he was going to be joining a very outstanding defensive line as it stood right there. And I thought, okay, this is a guy that can contribute right away and really make some stuff happen. And I got to be honest, I felt like he didn't quite live up to that hype in 2024. Maybe it's just a simple matter of, not fitting into the scheme in the right way, or just didn't maybe get the opportunity because of others or what have you. But for the Alouettes to bring him back in 2025 tells me that they do see something in him. And maybe it was just a simple matter of he really had to get his feet set here in Montreal. And I'm hoping the best for him. I'm hoping he comes out and he just blows the doors off everybody again. Because let's face it, this defensive line is completely stacked, 100%. That's the way Danny Machocha likes it. And Dylan Wynn has to be a big part of that as well. So I'm really excited to see if he's able to step up and really become a household name here in Montreal. So definitely exciting news to see Dylan Wynn back with the Alouettes. Speaking of that defensive line, we've also got an extension, if you will, that actually just came across the wire very recently. The Alouettes have decided to extend the contract of one Mustafa Johnson to the end of 2026. Listen, if you haven't heard Mustafa Johnson's name by now, man, you must be living under a rock because this guy has been an absolute force for the Alouettes. A major contributor to the championship win in 2023. Just an absolute beast of a human being, and so excited to see that this guy is going to be sticking around even longer. I mean, he was already signed through to the end of 2025, but to add another year on top of that, oh boy, is that exciting. And I'm curious to know, is he going to use that money, that newfound money of his, to buy some more t-shirts, or is he just going to keep saving money by not buying t-shirts? Because this guy seems to be allergic to t-shirts or shirts of any kind, really. How many opportunities have we seen him walking about, tarps off? Like, I mean, listen, if I had his physique, I probably would do the same thing too, but my goodness. Are we going to see a more t-shirted version of Mustafa Johnson in 2024? Only time's going to tell, but so excited to see that he's going to be sticking around even longer. And once again, this defensive line, Tim, has proven to be absolutely outstanding and is going to be very much a force to be reckoned with in 2025.
Body oil. That's what he's going to be buying. It's going to be body oil. It's going to do like the wrestlers do before they come out and do their wrestling match. They usually come out usually all wet or something like that. It's going to be body oil. He's not going to get any new shirts. It's no. It wouldn't be Mustafa Johnson if it was. It's jersey and then bare chest. So
yeah, even in the dead of cold of like October, November, he's walking out there. He's got 0 Fs to give. So good on him for that. But all this to say that we're very excited to see that Dylan Wynn and Mustafa Johnson are going to be part of this defensive line in 2025. And as I said, this is a very stacked lineup already. And then you're going to add on Sean Oakman to this as well, to guys like Lawal Ugalak, Isaac Adeyemi Berglund. My goodness. I mean, if I'm an opposing quarterback and I'm seeing those guys staring back at me, like just teeth bared like angry dogs, knowing that they're coming for me, I am hoping and praying that my general manager invested in an offensive line to keep these guys at bay, because these guys are going to come after you big time, and they are not going to stop until they get to you.
No, not at all. And considering how well that the defense has done over the last 2 years, it just seems that they're keeping the core together, and they're putting certain pieces in. This sounds familiar, right? Certain pieces that make this defense even better, and that's what seems like Denny Mack has done, as you said, especially bringing in Sean Oakman, and which will be a healthy Mustafa Johnson.
That is key. The fact that he missed the latter part of the 2024 season, you noticed when Moose wasn't there, and if he can stay healthy and be a contributor for this team like he was, as I said, in that 2023 championship year, watch out, because this defensive line is just going to be an absolute terror for the Alouettes.
Yeah, exactly. Wasn't there one other person you wanted to mention when it came to the Alouettes signed or acquired?
Yeah, actually, interesting enough, a former first-round pick in Anthony Bennett. He was the first-round pick of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in 2023. For whatever reason, it didn't. I guess he kind of got lost in the shuffle in Winnipeg and ended up as a free agent. And lo and behold, Montreal, in the case of the rich getting richer, decided to add him on. And again, great Canadian depth, because as you know, Lawal Ugalak, Isaac Adeyemi Berglund, both national players, both superstars in their own right. Got to have someone to back them up. I mean, if they go down to injury, God forbid, you need another national player to step in and do that. And Anthony Bennett checks those boxes off 100%. So another, I want to say, a sneaky good move by the Alouettes and bringing him in. Let's not also forget Josh Archibald, who was also brought in free agency, also a national player. So, I mean, all of a sudden, this defensive line has got a lot of national depth to it as well, which is absolutely tremendous. I mean, again, this is good. This defensive unit for the Alouettes is going to be a force in 2025. I mean, I think about that front seven, and I'm just like, wow. Noel Thorpe has to be foaming at the mouth. Like he's got to be wanting to get out there and get practice, get training. Let's start training camp now. I don't care if there's snow on the ground. We got to start training camp because I got to see these dudes in action. I'd be hard pressed to disagree with him. I mean, this is just so much talent on this defensive roster and this defensive line in general. We know that Danny Mack he has always said that building this defensive line is something that's so important to him. And the proof is right there. I mean, you look at those names, you look at the talent that's on that defensive line. And if you're an Alouettes fan, you can't help but be excited of what this defense can bring to the table in 2025.
It seems to me, and we've joked around, and hopefully we'll be able to get a little bit more clarification on this if we can in the future shows coming up. I know we didn't go much into it in last episode, but it seems to be that a lot of these other guys have come into the Alouettes after that extra $400,000 was added to the salary cap, bringing the salary cap in 2025 to 6.01 million. Um, it's interesting, eh? I mean, we'll find out for sure if that was the case, if these guys have been talked to prior to that. But if it is the case that this extra money that's been allotted to the teams to pay for salaries was the reason behind this, I'm all for it, because if it just makes us better, that's all that matters.
And that's the thing. If you're not getting better, you're getting worse. So to be able to recognize the talent that you have and being able to bring in people that are going to complement that, as well as fortify and nurture the players that you have in your roster already. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Dan Machocha is not making the splashy moves that I think a lot of people would like for him to make, but the moves that he's making are quality moves and moves that are going to be paying off in late October and November when it's time for the Grey Cup playoffs. And if the Alouettes are going to be very much a part of it, it's going to be moves like that are made here in February and going into March.
It's funny. I said last episode that we were talking about, the Alouettes may have not been anywhere on some of these other lists where what they would rank when it comes to, or what their grade would be for what they did in free agency. And a couple of them came out. I think one came out on 3 down and stuff like that. And the Alouettes, I think they gave the Alouettes a B. And I was actually very surprised. But then again, you look at the whole everything that the Alouettes did. They brought in who they needed to prior to starting free agency, and they brought in just a couple of pieces. As I said, it's a team that we have seen, and it's basically it's a process from Danny Mac in keeping the core together and just bringing in those extra pieces. So I was actually very surprised uh, at the grade that the Owls were given. I still doesn't matter to me what if they had been lower or higher. I really don't care, because you don't win. You can win free agency, but you're not winning on the field, so it doesn't really matter until everything gets started in May and June. So it didn't really matter.
Exactly. As they say, you don't win the Grey Cup in February. So
No, you can hold it up.
You could.
Real quickly, Al's news, not really Al's news, but just at least want to mention recently retired Alouettes player Christian Matt. He was hired as the BC Lions running backs coach. So we want to congratulate him on that, right?
Absolutely. Again, I mean, in a perfect world, yes, Christian would have stayed here in Montreal. They would have found some sort of way to keep him in this organization. But if there's no spots, there's no spots, I guess. So it sounds to me like Christian really does want to get, we had talked to him about the possibility of coaching, and he seemed very open to the idea of it. So, obviously we didn't get into too much of it, and just kind of figure, okay, if the Alouettes can find a way to keep him in the organization, that'd be fantastic. I guess maybe they tried and they just simply couldn't, and simply a numbers game. As you know, there is a salary cap for coaches as well. So maybe, you can't just hire every former player and hope that they can turn into a coach. And essentially Montreal's loss is BC's gain. Like, they are definitely getting a very smart man, a very talented football player as a coach, as someone who I have no doubt in my mind is going to take those running backs in BC and bring out the very best in them. Like, that's just the kind of person Christian is. That's how he approached his job when he was on the playing field each and every day. There's no question in my mind that as a coach now, he's going to do the exact same thing. And those running backs are going to get an education. They're going to get coaching. They're going to get everything they need to be the best version of themselves possible. But man, it's going to be weird as hell to see him on the sidelines wearing black and orange, because again, all he's ever known are the Montreal Alouettes. Ever since from being drafted by them, played his entire playing career and winning Grey Cups was in Montreal. So yeah, it's going to be a bit of a sticker shock, so to speak, to see him rocking like black and orange. But hey, couldn't be happier for him. He's a hell of a guy, and definitely wish him all the best going forward.
remember, John Bowman went to black and orange also
He
as
did.
as a coach. Yeah, but now he switched to red and white now. But um,
Yeah. Yeah.
kind of this will kind of lead into our interview. But the Alouettes announced today, Cliff, that they have launched a flag football academy powered by Mavericks. The Alouettes announced that they have launched a flag football academy for both boys and girls, powered by the Montreal Mavericks in collaboration with Football Quebec.
Mhm.
Um, the Alouettes Flag Football Academy will kick off with 4 teams participating in the 2025 Youth Flag Football World Championships in Orlando this coming weekend from February 28th through March 2nd. Uh, Veteran defensive back Najee Murray will be the head coach for the Owls team, while the rest of his staff will be made up of coaches from the Mavericks. Talk about foreshadowing. Speaking of Najee Murray, what was that, Cliff?
It just so happens he's our invited guest this evening. So, my goodness, what a perfect segue into what will be an interview that I think, ladies and gentlemen, you are going to absolutely love. We had a chance to talk with Najee, not just about this flag football initiative, but his career as a Montreal Alouette, and he's seen it all. He's pretty much seen it all. Like, he's seen the lowest of the lows and experienced the highest of the highs as a member of this organization. And we wanted to talk to him about it. This has been a long time coming. We've been wanting to do this with him for quite some time. It's finally happened tonight. So, Tim, without further ado, I say let's invite our guest in. Ladies and gentlemen, please grab a drink, sit back, relax, and enjoy this chat with the one, the only Najee Murray. Ladies and gentlemen, our 10th broadcast season here at the Alouettes Flight Deck, and we are so excited. It's been a while. We've been meaning to have this guy on to sit and talk with us about his career as a Montreal Alouette. And, well, as I say, better late than never. We are so excited to be joined this evening by defensive back number 12 for your Montreal Alouettes, Najee Murray. Najee, welcome to the Alouettes Flight Deck.
Thank you guys for having me. Like we spoke about before, it's an honor. This is definitely way overdue. And, we actually sat down, started this and being a part of the 10th one, to be able to come here and talk with you guys.
Like I said, should have been done a lot sooner, but we're not going to get into that. Like I said, we're going to enjoy the moment now and appreciate it for what it is. How's that sound?
That sounds wonderful to me.
Right.
Yes.
So you got some pretty exciting news. Like, this is like, it's an off season, but you're pretty busy. As a matter of fact, I understand you can now add head coach to your resume. Is that correct?
I would not necessarily say head coach. So Montreal had reached out to me, and they provided me an opportunity to go down with flag football youth group. They're called the Mavericks, based out of Montreal. And they've been competing year in, year round in the states, nationals everywhere. But they have a rural tournament here in Orlando that they asked, could I be a part of? Could I help coach out with the kids and stuff? So it was just an honor because this is our first time partner with them and everything. So I think it should be an exciting weekend, being able to sit there, help compete, help the young athletes compete and try to win it all.
That's pretty exciting. I mean, like, flag football is growing by leaps and bounds, not just in the United States, but in Canada as well. I mean, it's going to be an Olympic sport in a couple of years. I mean, that's incredible.
Yes, I know. And that's what I said. I was like, I'm happy that to see the game grow the way it has grown. But prior in the season, we had an activity where they brought us and we had to be coaches for the youth, for flag football. So that was one of the first times we actually got to see the game and we got to see the athletes and stuff, and it was an amazing time. I mean, had a ball with the kids. I think my team, I think we went undefeated. I got a quarterback that was on my team coming down now, but just to see the joy, but to see the game and just seeing how they're now coming down to compete. And then, like you said, the Olympics will be in 2028, and it gives kids now a more of an opportunity just to play football. It's definitely exciting.
Man, that is incredible. Now, as a head coach, are you a ball cap guy or a visor guy? Or are you going to be like your head coach, Jason Moss, and rock the toque / ball cap?
The cutoff, That's a great question. I guess it depends on what the weather's like, but I might do, might be a bucket hat guy, or I might be like Coach Dork. I might go ahead and wear a bright color, defensive coordinator guy.
Okay, okay. I mean, listen, just well, you got hair on your head still, so you can't exactly do like complete like Noel Thorpe.
Only for
Where are
so
the games
long.
going to be played, Najee? Are they going to be played over at Camping World Stadium, or is it somewhere else?
So I'm not too sure. It might be the place Camping World, but it's Disney Worldwide of Sports out there in Orlando. So if that is
Sure.
the fields and stuff, yeah, I think it's over maybe 600 teams coming. It's a 3-day
Whoa.
event. They'll start tomorrow. Actually on Friday. Unfortunately, I can't make it, but start Saturday. We'll have round robin games, and then Sunday is elimination. So you play a game, you got to win. So it'll be interesting. It'll be fun though. I can't wait to get with the kids. I love to go ahead and get out there, get after it with them.
Oh, and they're not going to be in the snow either, like they have up here in Montreal. I mean, I'm sure Orlando's got to be nice and snow free at this point.
I know. Bless you guys. I heard this was the most snow I think it's been in. They said maybe over 10 years. I think you guys have had. So
Close to it, yeah.
yeah, it was definitely a brutal winter. So yeah, I know. I'm sure they definitely enjoy the weather out there in Orlando right now.
Yeah, that's
For
why
sure.
when I see a lot of these CFL players going down south to train, I get it, 100% get it. The ones that stay here and train, bless them, they get it done no matter what. But I mean, if I had the choice between training in a cold, frigid dome stadium or head on down south, you better believe I'm going to go get that sunshine.
For sure. And see, I'm from Ohio. My wife is too, and we moved to Chicago. So we have little taste of, those winters that aren't necessarily warm. So first chance we got 3 years ago, we moved down here, and I don't think I could ever see myself moving back to the cold again. It's just freezing. It's just like, ah. But I give it to you guys because you guys make the best of it, though. You guys will go. In Montreal or throughout all of Canada, you go to cottages, snowmobiles, you go ski. Like you actually go do things about it rather than if it's cold, I'm sitting in the house maybe watching Netflix. So I definitely tip my hat off to
Well, we do a little of that too. Don't kid yourself. We're not so hardy that we're gonna go out and build a snow fort or any of that nonsense. No, no. It's all about balance, right? Would you say?
Right. I agree.
I can only imagine what if you've been watching your current teammate Austin Mack, what he's now doing. He's doing all the snow stuff here in Montreal. Obviously, he's an Ohio State guy too. I mean, it's a matter of I guess he's now here in Montreal, signed that long term contract, and as you said, you got to do something in the winter, right?
You do have to do it, but Mac has embraced it. I give it to Mac because Mac lived down here in Tampa. He lived down here, I think, the past few years or whatever, and trained down here. So, I mean, he is from Fort Wayne, but I don't think he's been up there in years. So, your body get adjusted. But he's embraced it well up there in Montreal. He's actually coached, I believe it was him and Bev. They've been helping the flag team, the Mavericks, actually, been helping them practice, giving them pointers and stuff. But I see him and his family running out in the snow and everything. Like, even though he tells me it's cold, he looks like he's making the best and he's enjoying it a lot. So I give it to Mac for that.
I was about to say we need to get his most recent one. We got to get you to do it. We got to get you to go out your window into a cold plunge in the snow. How about that?
Oh my God. Hey, no, I think that would be pretty cool though. That'd be exciting. I like that. I like that.
Is it really that much different than a cold tub when you think about it?
Oh man. That's a good question right there. I don't think it really is, to be all quite honest with you, because no matter what, after 2 minutes or so, you really just start to think, is this really for me right now? Should I get out? Should I get in a car, warm up, get back in the house? So it's pretty much the same. It's very similar.
All right, Najee, let's talk about the start of your football journey. You're from Steubenville, Ohio, also home of one Zach Collaros as well. I believe that it's just the two of you that are the only CFL players, to the best of my knowledge, from Steubenville. Talk to us about growing up and starting your football journey in Steubenville.
Tip my hat off to Zach, phenomenal player, phenomenal person. Kudos to him. Definitely both went to Steubenville. Zach is a little older than me. Zach graduated, I believe, in '05, '06, and I graduated in 2012. But we come from a small area, very industrial. It was really big and booming back, I think in the early '90s, maybe even early 2000s, because we had the mill. And then when the mill shut down, really didn't have anything. But the one thing we did have was football. When I say football is a religion from where I'm from, 20,000 people every Friday we play. All the stores are shut down, closed. I mean, you won't see nobody driving because everybody's up there at our field is called Death Valley that Friday night just to come see us play. So just to have that feeling like that, you already, I don't won't say like a college experience, but like that's all we knew was football, was work hard. We started, I guess, lifting at our high school maybe in sixth grade. We started from sixth grade and you go all the way up to high school. So it was a very, I mean, that's really all we had. So it propelled me for the next level in college because it instilled the work ethic and the mental toughness that you needed to have to actually get through life difficult situations and stuff. But I love home. Steubenville is amazing. My head coach, he's shout out to Coach Sack, Reno Sockart. She's actually in a Hall of Fame. I think he's well over 100 wins or whatever. Coach Sack is, I think, we're number 2 all time wins in Ohio ever. So he's done a phenomenal job, with the kids, just discipline and developing great young men, So definitely give my shout outs and flowers back home because without them, I definitely wouldn't be here.
Takes a village.
Yeah, it definitely does for sure.
All right.
From there, I
Go.
mean, we know you played, as I said, from there, from football. It was Ohio State and then Kent State to finish up your NCAA career, Najee. I have one thing I have to ask you because obviously, from when you did it to till now, you entered the transfer portal to switch over to Kent State. The transfer portal these days is completely different because I think you sat out a year because of the rules at the time of the transfer portal. First of all, what was it like? Your experience of the transfer portal back then, and what are your thoughts on what it is today?
I'm going honest with you, I never even knew it was a transfer portal back in the day. I just knew that you had to transfer and the rules were totally different. Your coach had to, so for example, like in my situation, I wanted to go, let's say, Cincinnati and stuff. So, coach, they may play Cincinnati later on, a couple years. So, coach decides where they don't want to sign off on it. So, they had to sign off to wherever they would really want you to go, and you just had to, I guess, play with the cards that you were dealt. But now with the transfer portal, I like it, but I kind of don't like it. Just in a sense, like guy in my situation, I'm young, I'm 18, so like you live and you learn. But transfer portal would have gave me maybe another opportunity of multiple places rather than I had maybe 3 days to pick a school, So I wouldn't change my journey without a doubt, though, because it made me where I am, and I'm here in Montreal, second home, gave me the blessing to be able to play football for the years I have. But just for any kid, though, it gives them opportunities to leave. But what you hate to see is it's like going to Ohio State. It meant something to be a Buckeye. You have to earn your I'm sorry, I can't even think of it. But you have to earn your stripes, basically. You get your black stripe removed when you're a freshman. So basically initiating saying that you're on the team. But that meant something. Nowadays, if you got a kid that goes to Ohio State, he'll sit there. It might be too hard. I got somebody in front of me. I'll just leave. He goes to another school. But then also, same thing where that school isn't just a good fit. I'm going to go chase the money now here at the NIL. So it's like I like the transfer portal because situations that I know different people go through, but I think it's getting abused at this point.
I know you are such a team player. I mean, considering how long you've been with the Alouettes, and you do bring up a very good point. I was going to ask you about that. Is that these days it seems that the transfer portal can easily decimate a team, and I think if I'm not mistaken, Marshall was a team this past year that got absolutely decimated by the by the transfer portal and because of how the NIL works and stuff like that. They basically could not go to their bowl game because most of their players had transferred to other teams. I mean, for you as a team player, how does that make you feel? I mean, I said, I know you don't. There are certain things about the portal are there pluses and there are negatives, but what's your thought when it comes to basically, the portal now can decimate a team?
And you in that situation, you just be very upset just because you went through those long summers grinding in the weight room on the field to now we're getting to the end of the year, and for everybody to be able to transfer like that, it's just unfair, because you got some guys where this might be their last game ever of playing college football. They're trying to go out with a bang, or you or like I said, you grinding with them, and you just expect that your brother to be right there next to you in that situation, and then next he's hitting a portal. So, like I said, it's to the point, in my opinion, it's getting abused, and I just think it needs regulation somewhere just to hold kids accountable. Like so. It would mean something to be a marshal. Marshal, I can't think of what marshal is now, but
Thundering herd, thundering
yeah,
herd.
Thundering Herd. So it would mean something to be a Thundering Herd, just like the people that came in the past that actually created and put this program where it is today.
Yeah, I'm guessing it. Even with head coaches too, I'm guessing it's a plus and a minus when it comes to if a head coach gets another job elsewhere, he's able to bring the people that he recruited to with him to whatever his new location is. But yeah, I guess it's you live and learn when it comes to this whole thing when it comes to transfer portal, and as we've been talking about too, is that NIL now that program has made a huge difference to the athletes. Obviously, I'm all for athletes getting what they're due. It's just that I hope it doesn't take away from their experience, and then if they do go pro, how's it gonna make them feel as being a pro? Are they gonna feel entitled? Or are they gonna be or are they going to feel, privileged that they have caught on it, whether it be the NFL or the CFL or wherever they may go?
And you're absolutely right. So I train down here in Tampa. It's a place called House of Athletes, and excuse me, they changed the name. It's called the Compound now. But they have a whole bunch of guys getting ready for the NFL Combine. Actually, a lot of them actually ran today. Um, yeah, NFL guys, MLB guys. But I asked the trainer just last week. I said, I've been here for some years training. Like, can you see the difference in this generation of kids compared to, like when my recruiting class was coming out? Like, do you think that they're actually hungry? Because it's like, I got $100,000, $400,000. What makes me want to work harder than somebody like 5 years ago that was really just trying to get there to taste something like that? So, and he just went ahead and told me, he just said, you'd be kind of surprised. Yeah, you might think that, but once you graduate, that money stops. So they got it's just like an adrenaline rush where they want to go ahead and work hard to chase that because they know that they're not going to get it no more. So I feel like it's pros and cons in that when you do have the NILs, will people really work? Because it's also like the NFL. You see guys get to their second contract, max deal or something, and they might not show up the next year. They got paid. So you kind of worry, will a college athlete? But I guess in time we'll see, but hopefully not, from what I'm hearing.
So let's get into the professional aspect of your career, Najee. You had a cup of coffee with the Cleveland Browns, but then made your way to the Montreal Alouettes, where you've been ever since. Talk to us about how the process goes. Like when the NFL doesn't work out, who is it that suggests to you to go and check out a career in Canada?
So it was always it was really Zach Collars. Like he opened my eye to see that you could have a successful football career above borders. And he would always tell me just how enjoyable, how fun the game was and everything. But once I left Cleveland or whatever, obviously everybody wants to stay down. Opportunity, never got a phone call. So I told myself, let's say, hey, March came around that following year. I believe it was 24. or excuse me, it was 18. Um, and I just said, I'm gonna go ahead. Let's go ahead and pull the trigger on this one. Let's go up there. So I had an agent that dealt with Canadian, and actually BC Lions had my rights. So I signed to BC, and literally the next day, I'm excited. Signed to Canada. I'm working out. Literally next day, I get a phone call from my agent. Yeah, so you've been traded to Montreal. I said, haven't even played the game yet. Traded? I'm confused. So yeah, so that's how I ended up in Montreal. Literally signed to BC the first day, next day traded off to Montreal, and then here we are today.
I mean, you didn't even get a chance to get any BC swag.
I don't even want BC swag. I'm good on the East Coast. You don't got to worry about it. All respect to them, I'm good on the East Coast.
Oh, and the feeling's mutual.
Yeah.
Now, your first season with the Montreal Alouettes, 2018, that was, shall we say, an interesting one for so many reasons.
Sure.
What were your first impressions when you got to camp? Like, you come up north of the border, you get to camp, and the season gets underway, and I'm sure you probably realize at that point the team had not won very many games the year before, and that trend kind of continued for a little bit into 2018.
Yeah. My first impression, really, I'm just a young guy. I'm just trying to keep my head down, and I was just trying to work. So it really wasn't necessarily paying attention what happened in the years prior. I just was trying to make a team, just be happy to be around the fellas, just learn the game. Just because it was so new, it was so fast. You're in a new city. It was a new cultural shock for me. I mean, I got off the airplane and words were in French. I started itching my head. I said, okay, I'm definitely in another country. Just coming from Steubenville, like we really don't know too much outside of, you don't get that opportunity. So just to get to Montreal and stuff, 18, it was definitely a rough roller coaster ride. I played the first 6 games in 2018, and then I eventually tore my ACL. But one of the highlights of that year for me, my rookie year, I believe it was the second or third game, and we were playing the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and Tommy Campbell got hurt. This is the fourth quarter. I think we're up by 2. They got the ball driving. Tommy Campbell gets hurt. I'm on the sideline. They come tap me. Go get in for 2 plays. All right. I mean, I'm ready to go anyway. So I go out there. I'm not thinking they're going to try me. I think second play tried me. I ended up having a game-winning interception, and it was on Deron Carter. But I had no idea in the moment that it was Deron Carter or anything. I was just enjoying the moment. And I believe that was the first time Montreal won in a while prior to that. But from there on out, it's just been a great ride, but it's definitely been a grind.
Funny you mentioned I was at that game because the Alouettes did a plane trip for fans to go and see
Really?
the Alouettes play there, and
Okay.
incredible. And it was almost for the first time in a calendar year almost the Alouettes had finally won a football game. It was surreal to say the least.
Well, it's nice that you know that you were there, but that's what they were saying. But that game was fun. Just a quick little story. We had a guy, Tommy Campbell. He was number 23, a corner or whatever, and he had a nickname that he liked, was called Dr. Pepper. So we decided all to go ahead and get Dr. Peppers, and if we ever got an interception, we were going to chug Dr. Peppers on the sideline. So I think we got maybe 4 interceptions that game. I never knew when you drank pop during a football game how dry your mouth would get when you went back out there on the field. I said, oh my gosh, I would never drink this Dr. Pepper again. But from there on out, I said, Tommy, yeah, that 23 flavors is over with, bro. It's over with. But that was a nice locker room, great guys, though. Definitely played with some greats, Bowman, Chip Cox. Got to learn from them, Hall of Famers. So tip my hat off to them. We had a great group of guys that, who just now figuring it out.
And again, I would even go so far as to say, like, despite your ACL injury, you got to see this team at the lowest of the low, and then sort of find their way, start making their way out, and find that form again, that winning form in 2019, and even going into like past COVID into this current iteration of the Alouettes.
Yes. So like you said, tearing the ACL, and then honestly, I didn't think I was coming back to play football again. I had came up here. I didn't pass my physical because I think I was maybe 8 months out. So I didn't get a phone call the rest of that year. So, at that point, 1 year in as a rookie, didn't get a phone call that year. Football might be over for me at this point in time. I'm still working out, obviously, but you just never know where life goes. It was my guy E. He gave me a phone call. It was maybe a week before the XFL draft. I got invited for the draft, so I'm sitting there. Maybe this might work. E called me. He said, "Hey, we want you up here." End up coming up. It was maybe I believe it was October in 2019. And Montreal has been, I mean, they've been killing it at this time. I was just happy to be on a winning team again. I said, oh, yeah, like we're doing it. First game we played out in Winnipeg. That was when I realized I said, I don't know football for me again because it's freezing out here in Winnipeg. But outside of that, though, they gave me an opportunity to play, and you got to see from 2018 where it was hard to win a game to 19 to we were figuring it out. And I just came on a team that they was already put together, so I just had to, like I always do, put my head down, get to work, and just play where I fit. Whatever the team needed, I was there for it. And COVID, we didn't have a year, in 2021. We built off of that, we didn't make it to where we wanted to get to, but you could see the organization starting to pick up, like it's starting to take off, and that's where we are today, It's definitely had its renovations over the years that was needed.
We've been talking about you've had a few in your career, and I'm curious to know, as an athlete, what is it like having an injury? Because obviously we're talking about your ACL that took you out for the year, and then you had a foot injury, a little bit last year and whatnot. But as an athlete, how are you able to keep yourself going? We know that you really most of the time you can't do anything until you're cleared to start working again. But as an athlete, how do you keep up your momentum when you have an injury?
Really, you trust the trainers, but it all starts with your mental at the end of the day, because you can't control when you get back, but what you can control is your attitude, how you show up every day, your attitude towards the work of watching film, your attitude towards rehab that you need to put in. But it's never easy when you have an injury, especially because you know all the hard work that you put in the off season, and you just like, man, again, like so you're literally fighting that mental battle all the time of I'm tired of rehab and I'd rather be working on my game, but when you go through it the first time, I tore my ACL my freshman year at Ohio State the first time, and then again my rookie year here in Montreal. But once you go through that a few times, like mentally you're not phased by a lot of different injuries. I mean, I tore my pec a few years ago. I'm used to it now, where it doesn't get to me. All I know is what I can control is put my head down and work, and hopefully my work shows. But tip my hat off to all the guys that go through these things. But I try to always talk to them and give them advice about it through tough times, just to keep their spirits up, hopes up, and stuff.
Would you agree that because we know a lot of a lot of guys on the team itself and that have gone through major injuries, Reggie White being one of them, and a lot of others. But would you agree that the Alouettes, despite being hurt, that this current iteration of the Alouettes always gives you a second chance to earn your starter spot back or your spot back, even though you may have had a long-term injury?
Yeah, I believe that it's very fair from Coach Moss to Coach Thorpe, however side you want to look at it from offensive defensive side. No matter what, that's your spot. As long as you come back and you're healthy and you're still I feel like they'll definitely give you your opportunity. And that's one thing I will say though here. We had a lot of different injuries here in Montreal and we didn't miss a beat, So that's one thing that you praise the organization about from top down. It's just no matter what, we made it happen with who we had. No matter who was out there, because not we'd have made excuse. Hey, so and so might have been injured. That's why we didn't win, and we didn't have that. So, it's unfortunate sometimes getting hurt myself. You got other guys, but they definitely give you opportunity to get it back. But it's also nice to see that you don't miss a beat when you aren't out there neither, though. So it goes to show you type of talent that we have.
And I think it's also a testament to the work that you put in. Like when you are on the field and you are playing, you're obviously playing at a high level, and everybody else around you plays at a high level as well. So I think that must make it a lot easier for this organization to say, yeah, well, when Najee's on the field, he's going to kill it. So I
No,
think that's gotta be encouraging for not just you, but anybody else that's going through an injury, trying to get their spot back, so to speak.
for sure, and I appreciate that. Uh, That's like I said. I just try to talk to everybody. Reggie White when he was going through it. We had a guy Raheem Stubblefield. We had Caleb this year. Even Moose. It's just give them pointers that help me get through it. Just because I see the careers that these young kids can continue to have. And you just want what I mean to help them out because you just never know what anybody goes through. You don't know how they take these injuries, and I know it could be a tough time. It's a dark journey, but it's always light at the end of the tunnel. I always tell the guys. So just keep your head up and you'll be all right. It's an injury. It's 2025. The way this technology works, you'll be back soon. It's just you got to rest your body. When it says you need this much time out, take the time. Let your body heal. You're not going to miss football. You'll be back to doing what you do.
Yeah, and you're proof positive. I mean, there like 20, 30 years ago, ACL injury, that was a career killer. Now it's just, I won't say a minor inconvenience. You're still out for a good while, but it's not the career killer that it used to be.
Right, right. That even Achilles too, which is just remarkable just to see the advancement in technology now, though. But that's the thing that hurts is availability is better than ability. They always say that to us. And that's just a long injury that you just don't want to deal with rehab, but you'll be back. And then when you get your opportunity, you got to make the most of it.
Absolutely.
And yeah, and also it's something you're talking about how you reach out and you give your you talk to the guys about their interests, stuff like that. It's a side that many of the fans out, that are not within the media don't see, because obviously, teams want to be very careful on what they say, what's wrong with a player. We know how how Coach Moss is when it comes to letting people know about if somebody's injured or not, and how coy he is. But it's a side, it's something that you're able to actually, when talking with us now, you're letting us know what it's like to be inside the locker room and talking to one of your current players and your teammates that has an injury. So it's a pretty cool look inside the what you get to see and what we don't.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, definitely. I don't know. I guess we just so used to going through it, been through so many different doors. Any way I'm willing to help the team. Like I said, it could be playing football. It could be something I know from a business side. It could be a health opportunity. Anything that I get, it's always nice to be able to help the younger kids out.
Mhm. Looking behind you, I see your jerseys, and I'm curious to know. Obviously, now you're wearing number 12, and it was number 15 there too. But why number 12?
Uh, Really? So first time I ever played football at 7 years old was number 12. Had no idea. I think they just gave me the jersey at that time. And that was my first year ever playing football. First time I think we started that football program, the Steubenville Tigers at the time. And I was quarterback. And the first game, I think that's when I realized I love football. Like it was fun. But did pretty good the first game. But from there on out, always just stuck with 12. 12 has always just been my number. I did have 11 in high school, but when I got to college, I just went ahead and just got 12. I went back to what football where it got me and where I started at.
Having to switch to 15 year, are you that superstitious enough of a player that you're like, were you hesitant on taking 15? And then you're like, as soon as 12 became available again, I was like, right back to it? Or what type of player are you when it comes to the number you're actually wearing?
Man, it could be first the number. I went to 15. Then my second year I came back, they gave me 45. So I thought I was like Michael Jordan when he came back to the Bulls. I said, yeah, I'm the old Michael. But then when 12 opened up, I had to go back to. It was like a rejuvenating of my career again, or reviving my career again. Coming from off the ACL, not maybe ever playing again to played pretty well the last 6 games and come back. So I said, you know what? Let's go back and honor my number in college when I first played football, and let's go ahead and let's start this thing all over again. But superstition wise, if I go out and I have a bad practice, or if I feel like I had a bad game and I got these cleats, they could be brand new. I won't ever wear them again. I put my socks on a certain way because I'm like, I got to wear these socks again. So it's like I'm superstitious game day. I eat the same breakfast food. I eat the same lunch. I got to go the same way. Call the phone about the Uber about the same time. So anything and everything, if I don't do good in it, I won't ever do it again.
Well, the nice thing about the number 12 is it's on your Grey Cup ring. So let's talk about that.
Yes, that's over there. I will show you guys. I'll go ahead and grab it. Give me a second, if you don't mind.
Oh,
Oh, not at
by
all.
all means. Listen, that you got to flex with that. I mean, you got a Grey Cup ring, you got to flex it, right?
Yeah, of course, of course. These don't. You can't come by these often, you know. And this was definitely a blessing right here. You guys, you guys have seen it a lot, but this thing right here is, I mean, you cry just to be able to, it's an opportunity that you don't come by often, playing football. And right now, in this era, what we're in right now in Montreal, this is the time that we could go chase those championships again. It was like when AC was here. Like during that time, that was the time where championships were chased, championships were won, and windows happen throughout football. It's just anything. Like you got a window where it's time, and I believe this is the year. I believe this year we go ahead and go do it again, though. Honestly,
Yeah. And it's
but
funny.
definitely one of these.
Yeah, I even remember we were on the field and we saw you, and we were able to congratulate you for being a part of this championship organization. I mean, like, just talk to us about that moment. Even though you weren't on the field, unfortunately, you were injured, which seems to be a theme, unfortunately, with your career.
For
But
sure.
but you were still an integral part of this team, as you talked about, helping out the guys that were playing and things like that. But bring us back to that moment, like the championship moment, and being a part of that. Give us the Najee Murray perspective of the Montreal Alouettes Grey Cup win.
To me, it was surreal. You didn't believe that it happened the way it happened. You got Phil Park going down there catching the game winner, and then you still think game's not over. They throw the ball to a punter where you got the rogue rule. I believe I'm saying that right. Where the punter could punt the ball and they could go catch it, but then you got
Yeah.
Stubblefield jumping in front of DeQual where he could potentially drop it and they pick it up, and then DeQual. But soon that happened, I'm like, there's no way in heck we just won the Grey Cup. I'm like screaming on the inside. It's just the feeling of all those years, even though I only played through the 6 games, but helping the guys out, going through camp, grinding with the guys, and just see where the team developed at, from back in 18 when I first got here to everybody used to always tell me it was a laughing stock to now we're on top, especially when nobody expected you to win. That was just it just was an amazing feeling. I had old teammates that, reached out to me and just was like, you stuck through it, you know what I mean, through all the dark days to the good days and stuff. But you guys know how it is. Like you guys are part of us. So the feeling of when you win, it's just like you really just speechless. You just ready to cry. Just very emotional, because it just doesn't happen every day. And just for it to happen in this organization, the way that it did through that whole season, where it was a roller coaster ride, it was very special.
Oh, absolutely. And be honest, Najee, how crazy is it that who is the opposing quarterback for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers?
Of course, my man.
Steubenville's own Zach Collaros.
I know that was the one thing I will say that I was very upset about. That everybody back home usually be like, man, wouldn't it be crazy if you and Zach Collaros played in the Grey Cup together? Wouldn't you? It'd be crazy. I'm just like, yeah, but I mean, it ain't easy getting there.
Mm-hmm.
The time that I'm hurt, we played Zach Collaros in the Grey Cup. I said, oh my gosh, everybody at home is watching. I'm like, man, but uh, I salute Zach. Zach's a baller. When I say history repeats itself, high school, Zach went undefeated in high school 2 years in a row, 04, 05, two state championships, never lost a game in high school. And then when he came up to Winnipeg, he went undefeated almost 2 years in a row, where he won 2 Grey Cups. Well, maybe not two undefeated 2 years in a row, but he won 2 Grey Cups where that. So Zach's a fighter. So I'm happy that we stole one from Zach, even though I love him. Thank you, Zach. Thank you.
Listen, he had to show you the love too, right? You know, like he already got his championships. He's got his, you know, he's going to go in the Hall of Fame. There's no question about that. I think he could spot you this one.
Hey, I would love it. I love it. I love competing against him, though, because it's not like any other game. It's because everybody back at home is going to watch it. Just like a Friday night football game, they're going to tune in to me and Zach. So one of us better show up, because if you don't show up, you got to hear about that until the next time you play them or to the next year. So you make sure you show up. But it's always nice. Our head coaches text us in a group chat and stuff. Me and Zach sit there and chime back and forth to each other, but it's all love. So definitely.
Well, the season finale last year against Winnipeg, you were pretty much in his kitchen for the most part.
Oh yeah, there was a time. I love Zach. So I was trying to hit Zach hard, honestly. Like I ain't never played him. Zach is who Zach is. But I'm like, yeah, Zach, I got to show you that even though I'm young, I'm gonna go ahead and show you I can hit. So there was a play where Zach rolled out to the right. He scrambled, and I came up and hit him, or whatever. He ended up having an incomplete ball to go out of bounds. So after the game, I think maybe it was like 2-3 days after, Zach gives me a phone call, and he had called me and he said, I got 2 things for you. Excuse me, 3 things for you. He said, one, he said, you almost ended my effing career when you came and hit me. I didn't know who hit me. And then I looked and seen it was you, and I just started laughing. So I said, I appreciate it, Zach. I'm sorry. And then he just asked me, he just said he was trying to figure out what coverage we were in because it was still bothering him. I'm like, Zach, you guys just won the game. There's no way you want to know what we were in when we intercepted you. I said, I may tell you if whenever you retire, but until then, I can't tell you what we're in, because then you just gonna sit there and know for the years prior. And then he just said good luck in the playoffs and stuff. But yeah, he's like I said, I always tip my hat off, because he was the guy that showed us the way that there was an opportunity to get out of Steubenville outside of anything else but football. And he showed us that. So he for always have my respect, the utmost respect.
Like they say, football is family.
And yeah, sure.
Since you brought it up, I at least had to ask, because it's a game. That game, usually when you get to the end of the year, there are games where, at least to the fans and possibly to the media too, is that sometimes there are games at the end of the year that are considered glorified preseason games, which this one was not. Thank God, because everybody seemed to have something on that they had to win for. And it's a game that we've, I don't know if we can say lovingly called, Cliff. We've dubbed it the Mother Nature game, because we all know what happened at the end of that game. And I wanted to know what your thoughts were, because with us up in the stands and all of a sudden what occurred, football can be a fickle bitch, and so can Mother Nature. And that ending of that game was just absolutely crazy.
Crazy. Literally, football gods were not liking us whatsoever. That's the best way to put it, because there was not one time I felt like they were in control. It was supposed to be not an easy win, but it was a win that we definitely should have had. And then out of nowhere, you get that win like that. I'm like, are we serious? So then I'm like, there's no way they're going to sit there and make the field goal, though. I mean, he just missed, I think, the last drive. Kick the field goal, it goes in, they're cheering. I'm sitting there thinking, itching my head, y'all that happy just for this little win when y'all was supposed to lose? But I didn't realize they got the bye week. But you couldn't make it up. It was definitely like off a movie. You just were like, really? Did that really just happen? Pinch me. So that's just one of the ones you're happy, like you said. Didn't count towards anything, because that would have, oh man, that would have had a lot of us fumes.
Yeah. Are you able to give a little insight? Do you know if there was any thought of the Owls calling a timeout before that infamous punt?
Honestly, I do not. We be on the sideline. That's more the coaches on the microphone stuff. Yeah, we really don't dive into all of that.
Okay.
It's just a series of unfortunate events, I guess. If you know,
Yeah, it's football. Just football gods. I'm just telling you, the football gods did not. I mean, it's almost like football gods at one point in time. I believe when I first got here to Montreal, I almost felt like every home game it rained. It was like back in 2022. I mean, every home game, it almost we had a
Mhm.
delay. I said, football gods, like what are we doing? So it's just like at some point in time, it's gonna come get us sometime up there at Mimosa Stadium, but. You just got to deal with it. I mean, that's part of the game. It's a good
yeah,
story whenever you sit there and tell somebody. They're like, there's no way.
yeah, just never a dull moment.
Never.
Um,
Najee,
as
let's.
yeah,
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Tim.
no, I started asking him about because we saw him this year pop up on the free agency list, and at the when Cliff and I were in Vancouver, Nigeria, we were on the show. We were talking about who we felt that was going to be re-signed by the Alouettes, and obviously after the show, we had a feeling that you were going to be re-signed. But I wanted to know what your thoughts are when it comes to you going through the free agency process. Now, I know there's some information you can't really tell us about, but because there are certain aspects of free agency, but um, uh, what was your thought when it came to the Alouettes reaching out to you and Danny Mac reaching out to you and saying, "We want you to come back to the Alouettes at least in 2025"? But what was the process that you went through to before you signed right before you went to free agency just recently in January?
Yeah, so we had exit meetings literally, and maybe I think 2 days after the game, and you sit down, and I got to talk to Mr. Machocha, Danny. Sorry, but yeah, I got to talk to him, and we just had a good conversation. I told him no matter what, like I would love to be here. I want to retire in Montreal. I've been here my whole career, and he definitely it was a mutual respect thing between me and him. He's one of the main reasons why I'm still playing today. He gave me an opportunity back in 2022, where I might not necessarily was getting opportunity, and he made a way for me, and from there on out, I mean, I give it to him because he's one of the reasons I play. But he said, yeah, he just said he wanted me back, let's get a deal done, but you know how that goes. It's always business, but he's always been truthful with me, and that's why I respect him a lot. So it was nice, had the phone call. I believe it was December. It was a great Christmas gift, called me, wanted go ahead, wanted to sign back. So it was just amazing feeling just knowing that you're coming back home because Montreal to me is my second home. I've been here longer than I've been in college, and I've been with Danny for years now. So just to feel that love and that connection, even though you have a business side of things, but still you have personal relationships with people. It's an honor to still be able to represent Montreal in that aspect and get another opportunity with the guys.
And I
Was there
think it
ever
speaks to that. Sorry, I was gonna say it speaks to that respect that Danny has for you because he didn't let you get to market. He didn't even want to take the chance that maybe Najee will sign somewhere else. No, he put pen to paper with you. I won't say almost immediately, but I mean, like you said, 2024, just before Christmas, you signed on the dotted line. So I mean, I think that speaks to that truly does speak to how strongly he and the organization feel about you.
Yeah, and I got the utmost respect for him. I don't want to go anywhere. He knows that, and he just gave me another opportunity. As much as organization love me, I love the organization just as much. So I just can't wait to see what we build from these years. We got a full team back next year. Few pieces gone, but you still have the team. And a lot of teams you look throughout across the league, they have a new team. It takes a while for a new team to develop chemistry, but you see in the past, Winnipeg kept the same team throughout the years, and you see the results from it. So it's nice to know that we got the same team, Coach Moss, same offense. We got the same defensive coordinator. So all the guys really have a great understanding. Now we even have a better understanding of what Coach Thorpe is asking next year. So now we can take our game to the next level. So it's good to have the guys like that.
Were you ever good? Was it ever? By the way, were you ever offered more than a single year contract? I mean, I don't know how you feel as a player, but I mean, obviously we're glad you're back. But I mean, as a player, do you wish it had been a longer contract?
Not necessarily. The last time I think I was offered a 2-year deal, that was back in 2021. So it was going into 22 to 20. No, it was 19. It was 19. After 19, I signed a 21 and 22 deal. But yeah, I don't look at it like that. Like I said, it's always a business, and I always got a hiccup
Yeah.
every year. Knock on wood, change things up this year. But you know, I like that. I like the you got to go prove yourself all the time. Even though you may be a little older, you got a younger guy. That's fine to me. I obviously would love to sign maybe 2-year deals, three, be comfortable. But I don't like being comfortable at that age because when you get
Mm,
comfortable, you get complacent. So
Mm.
to know that you gotta work towards something, I kind of like it. It give you a little bit more motivation.
you
That's
wouldn't
that
believe
fire.
how many times we've heard that, Najee. From many of the players that we've spoken to, they've all said the exact same thing that you have. The exact same thing. No matter what type of contract they're on, it's always you got to prove yourself. Don't become complacent. It's
You're
so.
absolutely right. You can because I mean it'll come bite you in your butt if not. If you don't come ready for camp, it's always somebody out there trying to come take your job, no matter what. So you got to make sure. So definitely cannot be complacent.
Yeah. And I know, I think Cliff wanted to bring this up. I know we went on to talk about 2025 and what's to come, right, Cliff?
Absolutely. I mean, obviously the goal remains the same: win the Grey Cup. Besides being a championship flag football head coach, do you have any other sort of goals in mind for 2025 besides winning the Grey Cup?
Uh Honestly, I don't really. It's more so, I just had a daughter back last year in April. She'll be one here in April coming up in almost a month. You know, Goal is always to be the best father I could be, but then it's also just win the day. Every day I try to win that. I can't look forward because I always look forward in the past to I might be having a great year this year. Oh, this might be my all-star year to. So I learned stay in the moment. My goal is to win the day. Yeah, you might have bigger goals in the future, but for you to get there, you got to win each and every day, no matter what you go through. So I don't really have too many like goals that I set other than what I know I want to get to, but I know what it takes to get there. So it's really win the day.
Okay. Or as I like to say, be where your feet are.
Yes.
As you said, be in the moment. Don't look past. Just focus on what's in front of you. I think that's great advice that anybody can use, regardless of where they're at in football.
Yes. I'm with you.
Him saying win today, Cliff, it almost makes it, it's like, are you sure you didn't play for Mark Trestman? Are you sure?
Is that what he used to say back in the day?
Oh, that was
Very
the
much
mantra.
so. Yeah.
Really? Yeah, I
Talk to
just
talk to AC, talk to Luc Brodeur Jourdain. Those guys, they were around for the Mark Trestman era, and yeah, that was very much the mantra was win the day. So
That's the thing. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a valuable point. I think I missed him. I think I almost been through maybe 4 head coaches, 4 DCs, maybe 3 GMs. So it's definitely been a ride. But this is definitely the best group I've been with by far, hands down.
So I'd say,
And
and three owners.
yeah, and
I
three
think
owners.
three owners.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, three
uh,
owners.
4 if you count the CFL.
I guess during that little period, yeah, you're
Yeah.
absolutely right.
Yeah,
It's not,
yeah, yeah.
I don't include them though.
Fair, fair.
What are you looking forward towards camp, Najee? Because obviously, there's been some change. Obviously, you now have a guy who's been given a well deserved been given the keys to the team, and with Davis Alexander being a new quarterback. Um, as you were saying before, it's about keeping the nucleus together, and I think sometimes fans may put too much emphasis on free agency. And we're hoping when a couple of weeks, hopefully we'll be able to speak with Danny Machoch and ask him about that too. But um, what do you what when it comes to the Alouettes in 25? Are you look? How much are you looking forward to camp in Saint Jerome again and getting this season going?
Oh, I mean, it's coming right around the corner. That's all you can think about right now. We've been out of football for I don't know how long, so you start to get that itch again around this time after February, beginning of March. Um, but just to get out there to St. Jerome, first and foremost, they are amazing out there. They they lay out the red carpet for us when they don't have to. We enjoy them a lot, and you just see the fans that come out, and you never really knew that fans were out there. Honestly, to see us, to practice and stuff, but just to see all of that is like it's very special. You got a different feeling, like you got a more of a French connection, so it encourages you to speak French a little more, just understand the culture a little more. But besides that, camp is where it starts. It's like Coach Thorpe always says, the work starts in the dirt. And camp is where you find your chemistry. You iron out the wrinkles. You figure out where you guys are good at on the offensive side, defensive scheme. To me, that's where it all starts. So to me, camp is where it really starts, and then you just see just shows of it in the game. Like, yeah, we show up on the weekends, but it all starts back there in St. Jerome. So I can't wait to get out there with the guys. It's been a while. You love the game, but it's nothing like it just to get back out there and strap the pads back up.
Couldn't have said it better myself. All right, Najee, before we let you go, we're going to give you a chance. Drop your socials. If people aren't following Najee Murray, first of all, shame on you. And second of all, how can they do so? How can they find you on social media and give you the love that you absolutely deserve?
Thank you. I've never always been a very loud social media guy. I like to put my nose down, get to work, like that's just all I know, because that's what got me here. But I always love the support from Montreal, the fans itself, no matter what. You guys, like I said, you ride with us through thick and thin, and you guys are sure and the heck loud out there over the games, and I love it. You love it. But if you want to find me, my Instagram is Najee_Murray 12, I believe, and I think my Twitter may be Najee Murray, might be 11. I'm not too sure on
Yes.
the Twitter side. But yeah, you're more than welcome to follow me. Family oriented guy. I'm really not posting too much on social media unless it more so to promote something of one of my buddies, or like we got the flag game, or if it's something with Montreal, But if you want to come dive in, take a look at this season, I'm gonna try to be a little bit better, be a little bit more engaging, uh, engaging with fans and stuff. So definitely come follow me.
You heard the man. Najee, thank you so much. This was a long time coming. I'm so glad we were able to get this done, and we appreciate everything you have done for this organization. The city of Montreal, Alouette Station, everybody here in 514 appreciates what you bring to this team. Thank you once again for joining us this evening. We greatly appreciate it, and we are so excited. Looking forward to seeing you at training camp this coming May.
Thank you, Mr. Cliffy, and thank you, Mr. Tim. Like you said, it was way overdue, and it's an honor just to be a part of you guys' platform, to even have me on here. I can't thank you guys enough for it, just to get me out of my comfort zone a little bit. Like I said, I'm a real quiet guy, other than the locker room talking with the guys. But it's definitely a pleasure, and I can't wait to see you guys again. I see you guys almost every day out there. That's joy to know that no matter what, you guys will be out there every day. I don't think you guys might not see it, but a lot of the players, like, you actually get to enjoy to see that you guys are with us. You guys are following us no matter what, through thick and thin. So my hat goes off to you guys too.
The interview itself with Najee was a long time coming. I mean, I think we've talked to Najee on and off for the past couple of seasons, saying that we've had to get him on the podcast and stuff like that. And I think it kind of worked out ever since we started doing the video version too. I think this makes it a little bit even more special. So for those of you who are just listening on the audio version, please come on over, because that part where you're showing the his Grey Cup ring, you could tell he was so proud of it. He really
Oh, yeah.
was, and the best way to look at it is to come over and check it out over on YouTube, because that's really the best place to see it. So I mean, it's again, really happy to have Najee join us, Cliff, and like we do with every player that we've had on for the very first time, even though we may have known them for years, we did learn quite a bit from them.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, he you name it, he talked about it, and it was just so wonderful for him to open up and share his story with everyone, and just an absolute prince of a gentleman. My goodness, I mean, folks, if you're not on the Najee bandwagon after this, I think he's going to do some serious soul searching because he's just an absolutely phenomenal player, heart and soul. I would even go so far as saying the heart and soul of this Alouettes defense, and that's no small feat considering the absolute units that we have on this defense. For him to have been there, I want to say from day one of even like the Danny Machocha era, if you will, for him to be a part of this team and the value that they see in him year in and year out, they want him to be a part of this team. And when he's on that field, I mean, there's not much better than that. I mean, he's definitely one of one, and so thankful he was able to join us this evening. And yeah, anytime Najee wants to come back on the show, just to talk football, talk life, anything like that, obviously the door is open to him anytime he wants.
Exactly. Well, I remind everybody that we are on social media. You can find us really almost anywhere. If you want to find us over on Twitter or over on Blue Sky, you can follow us at Alouettes FL Deck. On Facebook, you can find us over at Alouettes Flight Deck Pod. You can also follow us on Instagram and YouTube over at Alouettes Flight Deck. Do not forget, over on YouTube, you can find all the archives of the live shows, Flight Deck Live, which will be returning in 2025. All the video versions of the podcast and the audio versions are going to be there too. But if you want to listen to more than just the last two seasons on YouTube, you can head over to our archive, and that's over at www.alouettesflightdeck.ca, where you will see all those shows that we've had over the 9+ seasons that we've been doing this show, and all the links to all of our different socials, et cetera, and including our shop, which is over at flightdeckgear.ca, where you will be able to have and purchase a T-shirt with our 10th anniversary logo very shortly, um, and a lot of other new things that we have coming out for 2025. So, and lastly, like we did it, we can't thank enough the guys over at Royal Retros who are our presenting sponsor. And if you head over to Royal Retros and use the code Flight Deck at checkout, you'll be able to save 10% off your entire order. Again, Dustin and the guys, I gotta get another jersey. I have a Concords jersey that they made, fantastic. But I got to get something else.
Yeah, I've had my eye on a Montreal Machine jersey for the longest time, and I'm thinking maybe no time like the present to pull the trigger on it. So I'm definitely considering that as well. And folks, also too, once again,
number 50, 50 down that says Cliffy D on the back. Yes.
yeah, man, yeah, exactly. And folks, make sure to, if you haven't already, make sure you're liking, subscribing. If you're on YouTube, make sure you leave a comment and let us, show us the love as well. If you're, make sure you're following and subscribed on any of our platforms, just so you know, and hit the notification bell to let you know when we go live or when a new episode drops. So make sure you're informed and let everybody know about it as well. As we always say, if you like the show, tell a friend, tell a coworker, tell everybody. If you don't like the show, tell us. Let us know what we're doing wrong so we can make things right. So make sure you're on board. We keep saying this every time, but we want you to be a part of the flight crew. We want you along with us on this ride. So do what you got to do, but make it happen.
We are still on our alternating 2-week show schedule. So you'll probably be hearing from us in early March. It's still hard to believe, Cliff, that we're basically 2 days away from the beginning of March already. All that much closer to training camp in mid-May, so I can't complain about that.
That's how you got to look at it. We're one step closer to things like the combine, to learning about the draft, who the Alouettes might be going after in the draft, which will be taking place in late April. And then a couple weeks after that, you're into May, training camp gets underway, and we're back into Canadian football 100%. So, it's wild. Time really does fly.
It really does. And again, as I said, we are currently in that alternating schedule. So it will be 2 weeks. We do have something planned that we have already started to work on. So we will have, we're looking to have a guest for our next show, and hopefully be able to talk a little bit more about what news may have broken or may have come about from the Alouettes or league wide at that time also. So it's you will see us. I can guarantee you that, because we still have a lot of people to talk about. We really, really do. And get this, get this season and get our 10th season. Continue during our 10th broadcast season.
And again, this is why I say you got to hit that notification bell if you're on YouTube, or make sure you're following and you hit the notification on X or Facebook. So that way, if we decide to, whether we if we're following our schedule like we're supposed to be, you'll be notified. If we decide to have the opportunity to surprise you with an episode, you'll be notified as well. So again, I can't overstate how important it is. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you got the notification on, and be ready, folks, because again, this is our 10th broadcast season, and we want to make this as good as possible. We want to make it the best season possible, and we can't do it without you, folks.
Exactly. So again, we will see you guys next episode. Cliff, I will see you. First, I'm glad you're able to clean out from all that snow that we had a couple of weeks ago. That was absolutely stupid. But winter in Canada.
I mean, when are we going to open like a flight deck studio in like Turks and Caicos, or something like that? Like we were not built for this. I don't know. We say we're built for winter, but we are not built for this. We're not young men anymore.
Maui, Sydney, Australia, Auckland, New Zealand,
Puerto Vallarta. I mean, I don't know.
I've always said we could always go 6 months here of the year, and then after that we can spend the last 6 months in Australia or New Zealand, because our winter is their summer.
See, I mean, and again, the only thing that kind of concerns me is the incredibly large insects they have there, as in like tarantulas that you can put a leash on and practically take for a walk. I'm not too fond of that idea.
Unofficial mascot.
Oh boy, what would we call that mascot? Alouette Station. Leave it in the comments below. Let us know what you would call the unofficial flight deck mascot. The giant, massive tarantula.
I've seen them. Yeah, they're huge. I've seen the giant spiders too. It's absolutely crazy. But you know what? Dollars par to Canadian dollars. That's a plus. But anyways, I digress. We will see you guys next Yeah, I know. We'll see you guys next episode. So for everybody here at the Alouettes Flight Deck, for Cliffy D, I'm Tim Capper. We're on Final Approach.